This week in forex, we've actually had pretty good week so far. As far as news is concerned, you guys know we started out this week with a holiday, and it's kind of weird. So, um, anytime we have an NFP and then the next week starts with a holiday, the market always is coming off this high, and then you have like a little lag, and then the market's either going to do one or two things. It's either going to continue the move from Friday, or people are going to profit take on the back end, and then let the market kind of run its course throughout the rest of the week. One thing that's interesting about this week is that the president is doing his tour. So slight comments in his speeches tend to move the market, and it might not be permanent, but temporarily might move the market. So um, just pay attention to wherever he might be. I'm not following him. I don't know where he's going to be next. Only reason why I knew he was going to be in North Carolina was solely because I just happened to be on call. Um, but always pay attention. That's why I tell you guys like to have the news apps and stuff available and on your phone so that you can see these things. Um, Today or yesterday, I'm gonna go back to yesterday really quick. Since he was here, he talked a lot about the economy. He talked a lot about opening up, trying to get life back to normal for not only the adults but the students, college students, sports, opening up venues that help to run the economies of major cities, and also just trying to make sure that the economy as a whole kind of just stays together. And also, yesterday technically was the first true market day after the holiday, after NFP. Why is that important? A, because what happened yesterday was supposed to really happen on Monday, couldn't really happen on Monday. And we got Trump talking, we got the markets opening, we got all of that stuff happening. And then if you look at a lot of the market movements that Mr. Levels talked about happening, a lot of it happened, and it happened super fast. US 30, if you look at the companies that make up the Dow Jones Industrial, a lot of those companies just kind of fell off the cliff. And if you look at the business news that came out Tuesday, um, the business index for small businesses was good, but that has no impact on those bigger companies. This is what a lot of people were looking at, was consumer credit. They were looking at these consumer credit numbers, and they were looking at economic optimism. Um, those two numbers, whenever they came out, were just not great at all. And that just tends to move markets, in addition to coming back off of holiday, profit taking, um, all those sorts of things. Today, Today we had a bond auction, and I told you guys I was just going to be looking at that. That was one of the major things I was going to be looking at. Typically, they have a forecast. Um, Sometimes they don't put a forecast up because they're just unsure. And then they're also trying to make calculations about what's out there in the marketplace. So bond numbers are typically neutral if there is no forecast. So what can I say about the 10-year bond is that it's relatively the same compared to had the last time. What we'll really be looking at is whenever they have the 30-year auction tomorrow and comparing the two, because that's going to help shape the yield curve. We're going to be looking at the 10-year versus the 30-year versus the 520, 2-month, all the others in between. We'll be looking at all of those. So tomorrow, as I told you guys earlier in the week, is going to be a very news heavy day. So pay attention. Um, in the morning, right before the what they call the technical open for London, for the New York session, we're going to have Euro news. So this is the day when I was telling you guys that Euro USD, pretty much all the USD pairs, and then the indices and gold. These are when those markets are really going to be moving, because we get a finance rate, we get more talks about Brexit coming out tomorrow. We get producer price index, we get unemployment claims, oil numbers. We also get Christine Lagarde speaking tomorrow afternoon, which is not a conventional time for her to be talking. So just make sure you're paying attention to the news. I'm pretty sure since Christine Lagarde is going to be speaking tomorrow, Trump is going to speak at some point in time tomorrow also. It might not be around that same time. It might be a tweet, but this is part of fundamentals. This is knowing the personality traits of your leader. You don't have to know the personality traits of every leader around the world, because that's just ridiculous. Your leader in your country, or the leader for the country whose currency you're going to be trading most often, know the personality traits. Because with Trump, I know that if there is a major world leader speaking, taking up airtime, Trump is going to come behind that leader or get on or tweet at the same time that that leader is speaking. He does it with our own government officials. When Jerome Powell speaks next Wednesday, Trump's going to come right behind him and have a press conference or say something, and it's going to be so trivial. But to have his face on the screen so that people know that he's still there, he's still relevant. Hey, I'm here too. That's a personality trait. That's just how he is. He's used to being on TV and in front of the cameras and having the spotlight. So it might not be anything major tomorrow that he says. It might be, but just pay attention, because at some point in time tomorrow around 1 o'clock, he's going to pop up. And then Friday, we have Eurogroup meetings. I was telling you guys earlier in the week, this is important because of Brexit. Um, Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson is another leader who has quirky personality traits. He says a lot of things whenever it comes to the votes of the people and getting the people behind him. He'll say a lot of things that sound good. He'll say a lot of things that are appealing in front of the camera, and then we'll turn around and close doors in Parliament and we'll say something completely different. Anytime you listen to Boris Johnson talk about Eurogroup meetings, talk about the European Union, he talks about a hard Brexit. He's talking about them not getting along. He's very hard-nosed, but whenever he's talking to the people in front of the cameras and he's trying to appeal, it's the complete opposite. And then also, if you look at how things have been going so far with the U.S. and the U.K., a lot of policies and a lot of things that they have done in the UK have followed very closely behind policies that Trump has put in place. So I wouldn't doubt it if whenever we have these Eurogroup meetings on Friday, that we hear something about tariffs, because that has come up. Never before have I seen tariffs weaponized and used to antagonize countries the way that they've been used in the last 3.5, 4 years. But Europe has started to use them in that way. Also, Europe is really starting to empower their people to make money. I'm not going to go into the whole history of Great Britain and Europe and how they oppress their people with trying to make them feel like money is horrible and making money is horrible. But at the end of the day, they're starting to empower their people to have and start companies within the country to be self-sufficient. Never have you seen Europe want to be self-sufficient and do things within and for themselves. They always wanted to import and export and be a part of other countries. So tariffs, import, exports, Brexit, um, France and Germany's and Greece's debt. Um, those things are things that I'm expecting to come up in the Eurogroup meeting on Friday. Friday is also September 11th. So New York is always funny on September 11th. I'm just giving you a heads up. I'm not telling you which way the market's going to go. I'm just saying watch market volume, watch trading, especially around the market open, because a lot of people still um, take moments of silence around the time that the Twin Towers were hit. A lot of people still have a sentiment about September 11th, and they don't want to be in Manhattan on September 11th. They still have a PTSD, a very visceral feeling about September 11th. So a lot of people might be trading from home. A lot of people might be trading from New Jersey. If you guys don't know, the NASDAQ servers are in New Jersey. So a lot of people might be trading closer to New Jersey. A lot of people might be trading from home. So the speed at which your trades get processed on Friday might be a little different. And then also the volume of the market might be a little different. So just want to give you that heads up. And then consumer price index comes out on Friday. Trump mentioned that yesterday during his rally that we've had record high unemployment this year, and now we're back down into the single digits. I told you guys he was going to praise himself on that, and he did yesterday. He also talked about consumer price index numbers, looking forward to those, and he said that they were good. I don't know how he knows they're good because they haven't even been officially calculated yet. They won't officially be calculated and sent to him until tomorrow night. But anyway, so just when consumer price index numbers come out, we're hoping that consumer price index is not high. The reason why we don't want consumer price index to be high is because that means that the price of goods have gone up, and then that also means that inflation is in the marketplace. Speaking of inflation, this is the last thing. So I was telling you guys before about interest rates being low and being fixed for the next 2 to 3 years, and that the government and our Fed was going to have to find a way to balance that out. So, for you guys that are present on the call and for those who will be listening, if you trade forex and you have a job outside of forex and you've been furloughed this year and you traded while you were on furlough and you got unemployment while you were on furlough, and you're now back at your job, and your employer has elected to take part in the payroll tax holiday, please, please, please put money aside and start doing it between now and the end of the year, because taxes are going to hurt in 2021. Taxes are going to hurt in 2021 because a lot of the offset now for these low interest rates are going to be taxes. What people don't realize is that, especially with having a business on the side or trading forex or investing, is that, yeah, you still have to pay taxes out of that. With forex, you have to pay 2 taxes. So if you want to go through and try to calculate your taxes based off of your profit screen on forex, here's how you'll do it. Take that amount, multiply it by 60%, and then take that amount and multiply it by 15%, and then write that number and set it aside. The the number that you started out with, your profits, go back and multiply that number by 40%, and then whatever that amount is, multiply it by 35%, add it to that very first number, and then that's what your taxes are. You'll have to pay those taxes, and if you held trades for more than a month, then you have to pay another tax also. There are 4 types of taxes you can end up being taxed with in forex. And for those people who didn't necessarily trade forex really hard, but they were furloughed and they got unemployment and they decided not to have tax taken out, and you're back at work, your employer elected to participate in the tax holiday, go back to your last paycheck, especially if you make pretty much the same amount every paycheck. Go back to the last paycheck where they did take out that payroll tax and just put that money aside, because you're going to have to pay that money back. And you're going to have to pay that money back at the same time when you're paying 2021's payroll tax. So set all that money aside. And then the other thing that you need to do, you can contact HR, you can contact if you live in North Carolina or wherever state you live in, contact the unemployment department, the employment office, and ask them how to calculate your tax that should have come out that you deferred, so that you can set that money aside so that whenever tax time comes around, you're not getting hit with a big tax bill and then you're trying to figure out where the money's going to come from. Because there's no point and there's no sense in anybody on this call having to take out a loan to pay taxes or to go on a tax payment plan. Because I'm telling you now, it's September. There's still time to set aside $50 here, $100 there, by the time April 15th rolls around, because they're going to be serious about taxes. The other thing about taxes is that if you traded any type of cryptocurrency this year, I told you guys the amounts and the number of transactions before. I can't actually remember it right now. I'll put it in the chat. But if you go over the amount of dollars in cryptocurrency transactions or the amount of actual transactions themselves, Cash App did put out a notice saying that they will flag your account and send it straight to the IRS, meaning that if whenever you do your taxes, you say, no, I didn't trade cryptocurrency, IRS is going to know you lied because your account's already been flagged. So make sure you don't lie about trading cryptocurrency, because it's a $2,500 fine if you lie and your account gets audited, flagged, pulled, whatever the case may be. And a lot of people feel like they're not going to get caught, but the IRS has a special department for 2021's, or for 2020's tax year in 2021, where they actually have a whole department full of people that's strictly dedicated to cryptocurrency. Don't believe me? Go read it on the IRS website yourself. Also, you can read about doing your taxes for Forex on the IRS website while you're there. Mr. Levels, if you can unmute them or let them unmute themselves if they have questions. If you guys don't have any questions, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Levels so that he can get started with the technicals.
Cool deal. Appreciate that, Corman. Great job. Great job. I don't think you have any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with the technical.